Does your crystal have a deep, dark secret? We have crystal that's been passed down from our parents or even our grandparents, and we love it. Crystal is elegant, it's beautiful, it's valuable, and it has sentimental value, at least to us. Now, we aren't overly fancy people, so we don't drink out of crystal glasses every day, but we do like to display it. And then sometimes we do drink out of it from time to time. But a while back, I was with my aunt, and she referred to a crystal glass as lead crystal. My reaction was, what was that? I had never heard of lead being in crystal before she said that. But since then, I have looked into it because I always thought crystal was the epitome of class and elegance, and it is. I remember when I was younger, my mom and I used to watch Days of Our Lives, and Stefano DiMera and his family would always drink their fancy drinks out of crystal. And there was always a special little area over to the side where they had decanters full of different, like bourbon, whiskey, wine. It was the epitome of elegance. But lead crystal? Lead in crystal? I had to look into this for myself, and I found some interesting and scary things. But first, I am not an expert on lead or crystal or really anything other than food allergies. I'm sharing this information for you to do your own research on the topic and make sure your crystal at home is safe. And if you're still watching right now, please put a number 1 down in the comment section so I know you've made it this far. Now back to the lead crystal. As we know, we are surrounded by toxins in this day and age, and obviously no one wants to be drinking or eating lead. So I looked into it, and apparently some crystal has 30 to 40% lead content in it. But the problem is, how do you know if your crystal has lead in it? Well, I can tell you one thing that might increase the chances is the age of the crystal. How old is it? Because in recent years, there have been government regulations in how much lead can go into crystal. But as we know, back in the day, decades ago, 50 years ago, who knows what those regulations were? But my guess is they were not very strict. When I started doing my research, I read an article in houseddigest.com from December of 2023, which is pretty recent. And it talked about the dangers of lead, such as how it can cause anything from minor headaches to organ failure if you're exposed to it enough and for long enough. And it talked about some ways to determine whether your crystal has lead in it or not. And it had a lot of good information. So I'm going to put this article below down in the comment section and the about section. So you can click on the link and read all the details for yourself. But something that stood out to me is there's such a thing as in-home tests for lead. I had no idea. Now, apparently, you really need to get a test kit that's EPA approved, and there's only 2 or 3 of these. So make sure you check into that if you're going to buy one of these. But I clicked on the link in this article, and it took me to a brand that they sell at Home Depot. So I might stop in and pick one of these up just to see how it works. I haven't done it yet, but I am interested. Now, the only thing I saw on there that might give me pause is that it says it's for paint or other surfaces. So I'm just going to check the back of the box and make sure that crystal dishes and glasses are something that can be checked with this particular kit. And if you've used any at-home kit to test lead and crystal, let us know in the comment section below whether it worked or not. This same article mentioned that you can also hire an in-home professional inspector who has an XRF machine to test your crystal. Now, it sounds pretty expensive. It said it could cost $50 per item to test. But my thinking is, if you have a whole set and you know the set goes together, I wonder if you could only have one item tested, and that would pretty much be the content for all of the crystal with the rest of the set. I don't know that. The inspector would probably know that, but maybe you don't have to get every single item tested. $50, $50, $50, $50. That could add up quick. But it seems like there is a test that can be done by a professional, and it actually stands for X-ray fluorescence. This XRF machine sounds pretty neat. Apparently, it analyzes geological materials like rocks, minerals, glass, metals, ceramics. So it might be something to look into. Of course, I understand that not everybody wants to go searching for an inspector and then hire them and then pay $50 an item to have the lead checked. That might be a price you can negotiate, by the way. Everything seems negotiable. But the article does go on to also give other tips for things you can do to look for evidence of lead in the crystal. And one of those things was interesting. It was to use a UV light, shine it on the crystal, and apparently it'll show a variety of colors if it's crystal. And the more colorful and vibrant, the more likely that there's more lead in the crystal. Now, I don't know. This is just what it said. I'm going to put 2 or 3 other sources in the About section below this video so you can keep researching and look for ways to determine if your crystal has lead. But let's move on to the point of, if we think our beautiful, elegant heirlooms do have lead inside of them, what can we do about it? I will tell you what I came up with. And if you're still here at this point, please put a number 3 down in the comment section so that I know you made it this far. So what is my opinion? I think the best bet is, if you think that there's lead in your crystal, find an in-home inspector who can check for that. And then you will know for sure. That seems to me like it is going to be the most accurate testing and accurate results that you can get. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. That's the most expensive option and probably the trickiest to find someone who can do that and who has an XRF machine. Remember, that's part of it as well. Idea number 2. If you do have crystal and you don't know if it has lead, one thing I would say is, don't leave liquid sitting inside any of these containers, like those beautiful decanters that I described from Days of Our Lives, where the bourbon and whiskey and wine are sitting out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, on display and ready to serve the elegant guests who would go to the DeMira Mansion. My opinion is, if there could be lead in crystal, you don't want liquid sitting in it for day after day after day. It seems like at some point that lead will leach into the liquid. So I have no evidence of this, but I'm not going to leave bourbon, whiskey, wine, anything like that sitting in a decanter that's crystal, just in case. My opinion is that we should just leave it in the bottles. And frankly, a lot of bottles are beautiful these days. Idea number 3. If you are still concerned about your crystal having lead in it and you want 0 chance of taking on any more toxins, you can always display your crystal. It's still beautiful. It's still valuable. It's still sentimental to you because it's a family heirloom, and you can still enjoy it without drinking and eating with the dishes every day. And you can buy beautiful decorated cut glass to eat and drink from instead of the crystal. There are a number of glass companies now that have beautiful sets of dishes. They are decorated glass and they are beautiful, and you won't have to worry about there being any lead in them. Idea number 4. If you are a person who just wants to use crystal because it's so elegant and it's so beautiful and you just want that level of class, at least on special occasions, then there is an option for you. You can buy newer crystal. I'm going to put an article down below in the About section by Resto NYC, and it talks about the government regulated amounts of lead in crystal. Now, what I took from this article is older crystal. The older it is, in my opinion, the more likely it's going to have higher concentrations of lead in the crystal. But with government regulations, which seem to be stricter and stricter every time they regulate something, I would say check into the newer crystal because it's going to have less and less lead in it compared to older years. So you can still use crystal and know more about what the lead content is if it's newer versus older. And my last comment on this is just to do your own research. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't know that much about it, but I am actively looking into it now because we are surrounded by toxins in our everyday life. And so we want as few toxins as possible, and we at least want to know what we're being exposed to. So please, if you come across anything of interest or you know something about this topic, put it in the comment section below. Share it with us. Let's spread the word so other people can understand lead content in crystal, what to do about it, and come up with some solutions for us and for our families. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Fleur, and I'll see you next video. Bye! Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.